The sketch she held, the schematics she had stolen from my storage, the confession I had given under the heat knife. It was all precisely what I needed her to have. I had been waiting for this moment for 10 years. Every piece was in place. The codes were embedded in my left forearm, invisible to their body scans. The kill switch was already designed, waiting to be woven into the implant's architecture. And Rizal, who believed she had coerced me into compliance, had just handed me the key to everything I wanted. The opening was complete. We were moving into the middle game. Episode 2, The Dragonfly Gambit. Let me take you back 10 years to the stratosphere of Edex, midway through a war game. I am losing control of the fighter, and my suit has a leak. Kaya is behind me. We have been lovers for 2 years, copalots for 1. Her breathing is fast and terrified through the intercom. The leak means if she ejects, the cockpit will depressurize completely. My blood will boil. Stay, I say. I can land us. Trust me. In the canopy's reflection, her hand moves toward the ejection cord. Kaya, do not pull that cord. Her knuckles are white. She is looking at the altimeter, the failing instruments, the ground rushing up. I'm sorry, she whispers and pulls. The canopy blows. I feel my blood begin to boil inside my veins, not a metaphor, a literal physiological fact before the darkness takes me. I wake immobile and mute in a hospital bed. My left side is a scorched ruin. My arm will never fully function. My face, well, Rizal was not wrong when she said I could have been quite beautiful. For 6 months I lie there. Kaya does not visit, not once. Not a message, not a letter, not a coward's apology delivered through an intermediary. Somewhere between the 3rd surgery and the 5th, I begin to plan. I remember the first night clearly, a torn schematic spread across my hospital tray. The paper damp from my own sweat, my working hand tracing coolant lines I'd once known by heart. That single drawing became the seed. Not revenge. Revenge is the fantasy of the powerless. I begin to plan the destruction of the rule itself, the political order that created Kaya and the war games and the pilots who leave their co-pilots to burn. End quote. I spent 10 years in the slums of Oran, forgotten by everyone who once knew my name. 10 years of hacking schematics, leaking small secrets to breakaway factions, testing cracks in the rules armor. The first thing I leak is a set of fighter schematics, not enough for a decisive advantage, but enough to force the second daughter into a tactical error. Her fighter is destroyed. The rule announces her death as a tragic accident during routine maneuvers. It was not an accident. It was my first kill. After her death, I locate the therapist who treated Rizal after her spinal crash. I learn about Era's suicide, the memory transfer, the implants poisoning Rizal's bones. I blackmail the therapist into silence. The kill switch is the centerpiece. I embed it in the base code of a shocker implant factory code, so deeply buried no quality control scan will detect it. It activates only under one condition, my own death. My unique stress response, the chemical cascade flooding my bloodstream at my execution, will propagate through every shocker implant in the rules fighter core. Every pilot carrying the implant will die with me. The decoding keys for the Dragonfly schematics I embed in my left forearm. Biological encoding, invisible to body scans. Rizal's people find nothing. They see a crippled former pilot with scars and a bad attitude. They do not see a weapon. When Rizal finally retrieves me when Shay knocks on my door and I pour coffee on my CPU and let myself be hooded, I've been waiting 10 years. Every piece is in place. The codes are in my arm. The kill switch is in the factory. The Dragonfly schematics are designed to be confessable under torture. Detailed enough to convince, incomplete enough to require me as the living key. The blood pact, the imprisonment, the desperation to become the test subject, all performance. Not lies, exactly. Every emotion I show Rizal is real in its moment. I do want to fly again. I do want my death to mean something. But what I want most is to watch the rule burn, and I have just handed the third daughter the match. I'm not sure how much time passed before I found myself back at the dining table, but not much. The Magnet Gambit. Rizal collapses into the chair across from me, movements heavy, eyes hooded with exhaustion. The wounds from the zip tie are barely scabbed. I shove my bandaged wrists beneath the table runner. Concealed in my right fist is a magnet. Not large, not a weapon in any conventional sense, but Rizal's spinal implants are held in place by magnetic anchors, and I know exactly where those anchors sit. The C6 vertebra, the nape of her neck. The war is not going well, she says. You don't say. Her eyes flick up. I have been insolent before, but never this casual. She lets it pass. The breakaways have taken 3 systems this month. My admirals are incompetent. My pilots are exhausted. She sets down her fork. And you are hiding something from me. I already confessed my implant schematics. What more do you want? I want to know why you smiled in the shower when you thought no one was watching. The surveillance. Nothing escapes her. The shower is the one place I thought I had privacy. There is no privacy on this ship. Not for you, not for me, not for anyone. She leans back. So, what were you smiling about? I could lie. But something about this moment, the exhaustion in her voice, the blue veins visible at her temples makes me want to tell her something real. Not the truth, but a truth. I realized I have more leverage than I thought. Explain. I stand, walk around the table, my right hand clenched around the magnet. I know about Era. I know about the implants. I know you are dying. I stop behind her chair. And I know your spinal implants are magnetically anchored. I press the magnet to the back of her neck. Riesel's body goes rigid. Her spine locks. Her arms drop. She slumps forward, cheek landing on the table. She cannot move. Riesel is completely helpless. Your diaphragm still works. You can breathe. You can speak. Your limbs will not respond. In about 30 seconds, the anchors will reset. Until then, you are going to listen. Her breath comes in short, furious gasps. Her eyes track me with a hatred so pure it is almost beautiful. I am not going to kill you. I could, but I need you alive. What I need is one flight. Put me back in a cockpit. Let me prove what the Dragonfly implant can do, and I will end your war. Liar, she manages. Probably, but you don't have better options. Your body is failing. Your war is stalling. I am the only person on this ship who can give you what you want. All I am asking for is one flight. I remove the magnet. Riesel gasps and lurches upright. She stares at me. I expect rage. I expect her to call for Shay. Instead, she holds out her hand. Give me the magnet. I place it in her palm. She examines it, turns it over, closes her fist around it. Era killed herself, she says quietly. She could not bear what the implants were doing. She put a gun in her mouth and pulled the trigger. Then our mother's technician stripped her brain and implanted her memories into me. The implants were supposed to be temporary. A bridge while my own spine healed, but they were never removed, and now they are poisoning my bones. I know. You have been studying me for years, the same way you studied my pilots, my war, my weaknesses. She pockets the magnet. You are not just a disgraced pilot looking for redemption. You are something else entirely. I am what you made me, a weapon with a single purpose. And what purpose is that? I meet her eyes. To end this war. It is not a lie. It is simply not the whole truth. Riesel nods slowly. One flight. You will have your one flight. But if you betray me, I will not kill you quickly. I will keep you alive for years, in the dark, with nothing but your own mind for company. Do you understand? Perfectly. She stands. The magnet is still in her pocket. She does not return it. She walks out of the dining room, and a moment later, Kaya, who has been watching silent, rises and follows without a word. The board is set. The opening is over. We move into the middle game. Laying Kaya to rest. I find Kaya in the hangar the next day, sitting cross-legged on the floor beside Iron Fox. She is eating a ration with the enthusiasm of someone who has forgotten what food tastes like. She flinches when she sees me. Protein paste clings to her teeth. What do you want? 6 months in the hospital, Kaya. You never came. You never sent a message. You never apologized. She looks away. I came once. The first week. You were unconscious. You looked. She stops. I couldn't. Every time I thought about visiting, I saw you in that bed. That's your excuse? You felt bad, so you abandoned me? It wasn't just that. Her hands are trembling. Rizal came to see me, after the accident. She said I had a choice, spend my career being the pilot who crippled her co-pilot, or become something better. She offered me a place on her personal squadron. I took it because I had nothing else. I want to hate her. I do hate her. But I also understand, in a way I do not want to examine, what it means to be offered a lifeline by the commander when you have nothing left. Later that night, Kaya comes to my workspace. Kaya stares at the holographic projection of the Dragonfly implant rotating above my console. That's going in my brain, isn't it? Eventually. Is it safe? It will make you faster than you have ever been. That's not what I asked. I turned to face her. She looked small, smaller than I remember. The ace pilot, The Iron Fox, the woman who left me to burn all that armor stripped away, leaving only a tired woman in flight fatigues. I loved you, I say. For 2 years, I loved you more than anything. Kaya's eyes are wet, I know, but you love Rizal more. She doesn't answer. The silence is answer enough. 6 years, I say. She told me. 2 years after you started seeing Shay, you and Rizal became what? Lovers? Confidants? We started after a mission. She was injured. I stayed with her in medical. It just happened. Kaya wraps her arms around herself. She never asked me for anything except my honesty, and I gave it to her, more than I ever gave you. The words hurt. But there is also something else. Relief. Clarity. The end of a story I have been telling myself for 10 years. Then we are finished, I say. Whatever was left between us, it's done. Kaya nods. She does not apologize. She does not explain. She simply turns and walks away, and I let her go. This is the last conversation I will ever have with her. The bait and switch. The klaxon sounds during the sleep cycle. A carrier from the inner systems drops out of gate space behind the mothership. Its transponder identifies it as deserters attempting to flee. Rezel is on the bridge within minutes, pupils dilated from painkillers. The surgeon stands at her elbow, face pale. Deploy fighters, Rezel orders. Bait and switch formation. Iron Fox takes point. Varda grabs her arm. This is too easy. The carrier is alone, broadcasting its surrender on open channels. It's a trap. Of course it's a trap. The question is, whose trap, and for whom? The carrier's commander offers unconditional surrender. Rizal accepts. She orders Kaya to deliver a missile that will disable the carrier's engines, leaving it dead in space. The missile launches. It strikes the carrier amidships. The carrier lists, engines dying. For a moment, it looks clean. Then the second torpedo appears. Then the third. They come from the carrier's blind side, small, fast, launched before the surrender was offered. They arc through the black on a trajectory I recognize immediately. They are not targeting the mothership. They are targeting Iron Fox. Get Kaya out of there, I say. But my voice is drowned out by the cheers of the bridge crew. Rizal's face goes still. She magnifies the hologram. No, she whispers. No, you're fast. You can outrun them. Just breathe. Trust me. The gap shrinks. The third torpedo finds its mark. Iron Fox becomes a brief bright flower of light against the starfield. Kaya is gone. Rizal's knee buckles. She catches herself on the console. When she speaks, her voice is perfectly steady. Iron Fox is lost. All hands. I do not remember crossing the bridge. I do not remember grabbing Rizal by the collar. What I remember is my fist connecting with her nose, the wet crunch of cartilage, the spray of blood. Just give me back Kaya, I am screaming. Just give her back. I hit her again. Her cheekbone splits, her lip tears. She does not fight back. She does not raise her hands. She just stands there, absorbing every blow, blood running down my wrists and onto the deck. Officers pull me off her. Riesel straightens, wipes blood from her mouth, and looks at me with those glacial eyes. Take her back to her quarters. She has work to do. Her voice does not shake. Her hands do not tremble. It is only later, when the bridge is empty and the lights are dimmed, that she collapses, alone, and weeps. Grief and the recruiting of Shay. Halfway through the sleep cycle, a shadow appears in my doorway. Riesel stands there, hollow and silent. 2 strips of medical adhesive align her nose. Her left cheekbone is burgundy. Her top lip is split and swollen. She has come without officers, without guards. I lost her too, she says. She wasn't yours. I loved her for 6 years. 2 years after she started seeing Shay, 3 years after she left you. I loved her, and I never told anyone because the commander is not allowed to love a pilot. Why are you here? Because you are the only person on this ship who hurts the way I do. She sits on the edge of my bunk, her shoulder inches from mine. We both stare at the opposite wall in silence. Do you know what it's like, she says, to carry your dead sister's memories? To feel her despair, the despair that made her put a gun in her mouth, and know the same thing is happening to your own body? I know what it's like to have someone you trusted leave you to die. Then we are both ghosts, Rizal says, haunting the same war. I do not know which of us reaches for the other first. And we fall asleep like that, her head on my good shoulder, my hand on the back of her neck where the implant anchors lie. 2 enemies holding each other in the dark. In the morning, Rizal sits up. I am canceling the Dragonfly project. What? Kaya is dead. The war is lost. I will not put any more pilots through what she went through. She leaves before I can argue. Without the Dragonfly implant, there is no kill switch deployment. 10 years of preparation are worthless. I need to keep the project alive, and I cannot do it alone. I find Shay in the officers' mess hall that evening, drunk and alone, tears running down his face. Kaya was his lover too, once, before Rizal. Shay, his eyes are red-rimmed, unfocused. What do you want? I need your help. Why would I help you? Because Rizal is dying. She has 6 months, maybe less, 4. Her spinal implants are killing her. Kaya knew, she had proof, and Rizal is canceling the one project that could save this fleet. Shay stares at me. The drunk confusion in his eyes slowly sharpens. What kind of project? A neural implant. A translator that connects directly to the pilot's motor cortex. It would make every pilot fly like Rizal. But she's pulling the plug, and I need someone with access to help me keep it alive. Why do you care? You hate the rule, because I hate losing more. It is a lie, every word. But Shay is grieving and drunk and desperate, and I am very good at telling people what they need to hear. Meet me tomorrow. I will give you the name of a contact outside the mothership. Someone who can verify everything about Rizal's condition. Shay nods slowly. Tomorrow. I leave him staring at his half-empty glass. I do not let myself feel guilt. Guilt is a luxury I cannot afford. Intimacy. A week passes. I see Rizal exactly 0 times. I see Shay once drunk again, being led away by the surgeon. On the last day of the week, I go looking for her. I find Rizal in an observation room at the far end of the officer's deck. The room is dark except for a holographic star chart spinning above the central projector. She sits on the floor, knees drawn up, watching the stars turn. I haven't seen you in a week. I needed time to decide whether I was going to kill you or keep you. I sit down beside her. Somewhere in the projection, a small red dot marks where Kaya died. I keep thinking about what I could have done differently, Rizal says. If I had seen the 3rd torpedo earlier, if I had ordered a different formation, you couldn't have known. I am the 3rd daughter of the rule. It is my job to know. She turns to look at me. In the dim light, her face is all shadows and angles, the bruises from my fists still visible. You're the only one who knows where I hurt, she says. You hurt just the same. That's why I didn't kill you. That's why I kept you. She reaches out and touches my face, not gently, but with the same deliberate precision she uses when flying. Her fingers trace the scars on my jaw, the uneven line of my cheekbone, the places where the accident reshaped me into something harder. I undo the first button of her uniform. Then the second. The buttons scatter across the deck. She watches my hands with a hunger that makes me feel, for the first time in 10 years, something like shame. I guide her down to the floor. I kiss the scar where her spinal implants perforated her skin, where steel met flesh after a deadly crash, where Era's ghost lives inside her sister's failing body. She gasps and grabs a handful of my hair. It is easy to forget, in that moment, how hopeless everything is, how I have failed and the rule will remain standing, how nothing I have done will matter, but I forget it anyway. For one sleep cycle, I let myself want her, and I let her want me, and I do not think about the kill switch or the war or the decade of planning. I just let the fire burn. The morning after, we wake to officers in the corridor. Rizal disentangles herself, pulls on her uniform, opens the door. There is a brief, muffled exchange. Then she turns back to me, and her face is different. Colder. Come with me, she says. She leads me to an interrogation room I have never seen before. Shay is there, restrained in a chair, a sedative drip taped to his arm, his head lolling. When he sees me, his eyes widen with fear. You told him I was dying, Rizal says. You told him about the implants. You told him about Era. You gave him the name of a contact outside the mothership. You were going to use him to continue the Dragonfly project without my knowledge. Shay starts to speak. Rizal raises a hand. He falls silent. I have known since the beginning, she says. I have known what you were planning since before you ever set foot on this ship. The sabotage, the kill switch, the codes in your left forearm that my body scans could not detect. Did you think I would not investigate the one person who asked to be my prisoner? My blood goes cold. The surgeon caught the error in your code, the kill switch you embedded in the shocker implant factory. She found it the day after your meeting with her. She really is the best. She draws a dagger from her belt, long, curved, the handle encrusted with jewels, a ceremonial weapon. Your plan was elegant. 10 years of preparation, and you almost succeeded. but you made one mistake. She turns to Shay. You told him my secret, and secrets are the one currency I cannot afford to spend. The dagger moves so fast I barely see it. One moment Shay is staring at me with terrified eyes. The next, there is a red line across his throat, and then blood, so much blood pouring down his chest. Shay makes a wet, terrible gurgle, and then he is still. Reza wipes the blade clean on his uniform and sheathes it. Her expression is utterly unreadable. The sex, she says, was mediocre. I do not answer. You will be confined to the brig until I decide the time is right, and then, as I promised you at our first dinner, I will sacrifice you to bless my victory. Part a waiter. She reaches out as if to touch my shoulder, the bad shoulder, the one she once dislocated and reset. I flinch away. Take her away, Rizal says to the officers waiting outside. The brig. 45 days. I track time by the arrival of my meals. Rizal herself delivers them. Every evening, she slides a tray through the small opening and sits cross-legged on the floor, watching me eat. She never speaks, but I do. I tell her about Kaya, how I taught her the first aerobatics, how she used to laugh when she pulled off an impossible maneuver, how she looked in the cockpit with starlight on her face. I tell her about the hospital, the 6 months of silence, the way hope curdles into something darker when you are alone long enough. I tell her about the decade of planning, the schematics I leaked, the therapists I blackmailed, the kill switch I embedded in the factory's base code. I tell her everything not for forgiveness, but because there is no longer any reason to hide. Rizal listens. She never asks questions. She never responds. She just sits there, cross-legged on the cold metal floor, watching me with those glacial eyes. And somewhere in those 45 days, something shifts between us. Not forgiveness, not trust. Something more complicated, the intimacy of two people who have seen each other completely and found nothing left to fear. On the 45th day, the door opens. It's time, Rizal says. Hovitation. The hangar is packed. Every pilot, every tech, every officer is assembled in formation. Rizal stands in a cream and gold ceremonial uniform, the jeweled dagger at her hip. Behind her, the fighters are arranged in perfect rows. Morning Star, the replacements for Iron Fox, the entire arsenal of the rule's air superiority. The pilots are all wearing their shocker implants. Every single one. I am led to the center of the hangar. My hands are bound, but my feet are free. Rizal wanted me to walk to my death on my own 2 feet, and I do. When I reach her, she leans close. Her breath is warm against my ear. "It'll make it quick," she whispers. "I don't want to go," I whisper back, and I mean it. Despite everything, the decade of planning, the satisfaction of the trap about to spring, I do not want to die. Rizal X's expression flickers. For just a moment, something human breaks through the mask. Then it is gone. She draws the dagger. The blade slides between my ribs with almost no resistance. A precise strike through the intercostal muscle and into the heart, a wound that would kill me in seconds even without what comes next. But what comes next is the kill switch. The stress response floods my bloodstream. The signal propagates outward from the implant in my brainstem, and every shocker in every pilot's neck receives the same command. Around the hangar, pilots begin to seize. They drop one by one, bodies convulsing, eyes rolling back. Techs scream and run and accomplish nothing. The fighters, the beautiful, terrible fighters that have won 100 battles, sit silent and useless without pilots to fly them. Razel is still holding the dagger. Her face is white. I am dying. I can feel the blood filling my chest, the darkness closing in. The last thing I see is her face, the mask finally gone, the grief and the fury and the loss all visible at once. And then there is nothing. The recording. nThis, my voice echoing through the hangar speakers. Rizal's head snaps up. She is on her knees now, her hands in the hair of the body at her feet, the body that was mine. If you are hearing this, then I am dead, and my kill switch has activated, and your pilots are dying around you. I am sorry for the abruptness. That was not the ending I wanted. I had hoped for something slower, a gradual collapse, a chance for you to understand before it was too late. But you were always too clever to let me work slowly. I pause in the recording. I recorded this in my workspace, late at night, while Rizal slept and I pretended to be someone I was not. Do you remember what I told you about dragonflies? Nature's most efficient killer. They do not chase their prey. They intercept. They anticipate. They arrive at the place where their target will be before the target knows it is going there. The dragonfly implant was that interception. Every pilot who received it was already dead the moment I embedded the kill switch in the factory's base code. The trigger was not a remote signal. It was not a timer. It was my own death, my unique stress response, the chemical signature of my execution. You had to kill me to make the plan work, and I knew from the moment I first met you that you would. I pause again. When I continue, my voice is softer. I should hate you. You represent everything I spent 10 years trying to destroy. But somewhere along the way, I am not sure exactly when I stopped hating you. I started to enjoy your company. I started to look forward to our dinners, our conversations, the game we were playing without ever admitting it was a game. The night we spent together was not a lie. Not entirely. I did want you. I did let the fire burn. And I think in some way I will never fully understand, you wanted me too. Not as a weapon, not as a prisoner, just as another ghost haunting the same war. The recording is almost over. I do not regret the plan. I do not regret the deaths, not the second daughters, not the pilots who are dying around you now. The rule is a machine of violence, and I have broken it. That is what I set out to do. But I regret the end. I regret that our game was cut short. I regret that we did not have more time. A final pause. You asked me once, on the first night we met, why I wanted to be sacrificed. Told you I was tired. That was true, but it was not the whole truth. The whole truth is that I knew my death was the only way to make the plan work. I asked you to kill me because I needed you to kill me. And you agreed because you needed to win your war. We were never meant to live in the future we were carving. You knew that, I knew that, and now here we are, both of us at our ends. Both of our promises kept. I can see you, nThis, down there on the hangar floor, your hands still tangled in my hair, your face pressed to my forehead while the bodies of your pilots lie around you like fallen pieces on a board. Goodbye, nThis. I will not say I am sorry, you would not believe me if I did, but I will say this. You were the best opponent I ever had, and I am glad, in the end, that it was you. We can both rest now. It's finished. The recording fades. I enjoyed it immensely. That is what nThis says in her final recording addressing the woman who just killed her, standing in a hangar full of dead pilots, blood still wet on the blade. Not I forgive you. Not this was necessary. Not even I'm sorry. Enjoyment. Pleasure. The game, the company, the contest. She thanks Rizal for being a worthy opponent. Then she says they can both rest now. This is an unsettled ending, and it is meant to be. The story does not ask you to decide whether nThis was right. It does not ask you to forgive her or mourn her. It only asks that you listen to her voice until the moment it stops. Trans-Summit, A.D. Sui has described her writing as driven by spite, not bitterness, but the refusal to let others define your limits. You can hear that refusal in nThis's voice, right up to the final syllable. She does not soften herself. She does not explain herself in ways that make comfortable sense. Even her love arrives tangled in calculation and violence. This is space opera stripped of its usual consolations. No righteous cause, no noble sacrifice. Just two players who know the board will flip and refuse to walk away from the game. The recording ends. What lingers is not victory or defeat. It is the fact of a voice, a woman dead and still speaking, claiming the right to name what she felt, right up to the final syllable. No redemption, no apology, just presence, held for as long as the recording lasts, and then silence. Sui has said she wrote this during a period of concentrated output, a novella that reads like a single lethal arc. Mine is Reside. The voice you just heard is the voice she has been refining across her stories. Unsentimental, physically precise, never asking permission to speak. Rest, when it comes, is simply what is left. Never watch.